What are we jamming on now, Jay? Jay, what are you jamming on now, buddy?
So much hotness. We haven't even, it has not been that long since we last recorded, but
it's been
3
weeks.
games.
Time flies.
Dude, 3 games have just popped up in that time frame that just were unexpected. So, first of all, looking for something new to play with Courtney, and always looking for something new to play, and she found this game. Not sure if you've heard of it. I've never heard of the series before, but this game called Orcs Must Die Death Trap. Have you heard of this at all?
No, but that's a fun name.
Okay, so obviously being big Lord of the Rings fans, we've been playing the Lord of the Rings Moria game where you're fighting orcs and stuff. So she's scrolling through Game Pass, sees this game. She's like, oh, let me try it. Convinces me to download it, and we're playing it together. It is it's like a fighting castle defense game. And it's been a long time since I played a true castle defense game that I really, really liked. I used to love Age of Empires Castle Siege on my iPad all the time until that went away. But castle defense games are really hit or miss for me. But this one, it's just so fun.
I mean, I don't think I've played one, and it's probably not even okay to call this one. But the last castle defense game I think I played was Rampart on the SNES.
I thought you were playing. I thought there was one that you were.
Castle defense? No, I mean by castle defense you mean it's like a round based thing where you shoot the fucking other shoot the other. What was that? There was an amazing board game that Jab and I had. It wasn't Hero Quest. It was called fucking something. But it was basically that. Basically you just pummel the enemy, and then depending on how you do, you get a little build turn, and then you do it again, right? And
that's essentially it. So you got to keep all the orcs from coming into this portal, and you're in this big castle kind of place, and it starts with 2 entrances that come in, and you see which way they're going to go, and you can block
that
them.
Fucking the first Asgard's Wrath had shit like that.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't a. It was like a boss. The boss battles were essentially that. So maybe that's what you're thinking of me talking about. But yeah, I can't imagine the last time I played a game like that.
Yeah,
I love Rampart. Rampart's cool. I also like Warlords. There's no build thing, but Warlords on 2600, I'm constantly defending on Blue Sky because people talking shit about Atari games. I'm like, you need to play Warlords. If you fucking don't think there's any good games on Atari, especially multiplayer, Warlords is an elite paddle multiplayer game. That is up to 4 people, too. The paddles allow you to play 4. Think about that. That's an amazing thing in itself. Yeah. That Atari 2600 had 4-player versus capability. We talk about the fucking 4-score NES satellite being such oh my god, 2 decades before that. Or a decade before that.
Atari did not take full enough advantage. They didn't have the games to really...
They didn't have enough of them, but Warlords worked great, and it fucking is super fun to play. Yeah. Anyways.
But I mean, that is... The co-op aspect of it to me is really the big selling point. I'm sure you can find a lot of different games of this genre, and again, there's Orcs Must Die 2, 3. This is a separate one, but the co-op aspect of just us playing together. All right, you defend that door, I'll defend this door. Place your traps here. Just the communication of that, just a really fun game to try. So maybe not maybe not blow your mind oh my gosh, knock your socks off kind of game, but for spending time together with somebody you like hanging out with and being strategic, it's a fun game. Highly recommend.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea that you could co-op a team-oriented approach to something like that. How much do you argue about the building phase?
Oh no, that's a good thing. We don't it's smooth since you each have your own. Set of amounts.
Reservoir?
Yeah, it's not a combined resource amount. So that's why it's kind of okay, I see you still have a whole lot left over. Why don't you use yours over on the next spot? And I'll just, refine kind of thing. So it makes it easy that way. Less arguing. But man, other than that, the next game I played, dude, I've spent so many hours on this game already, and I can't even believe it. So, working at Xbox, I would obviously, everybody has different kind of game flavors and things that they like. And so over the years, people have mentioned games that I've just been oh, okay, that game is great. Sure. I'm never going to play it. It's not my jam. Anytime people mention point and click, I'm like, no, thank you. And so similarly, people talk about card battling games, anything card related. I'm like, even though there's been some great card games I've played in the past, like Gwent, until they try to make it a separate game from Witcher and they ruined it. And even like the card game that they put in ESO.
I know I've said it a million times. I cannot stress how fast I glossed over that every instance of that.
Missed out.
Witcher.
You missed out.
Witcher 3 Imperial in general, though.
You missed out.
Over, so.
But I mean, with that said, I normally, because I've tried some other games like Marvel Snap and other ones that I just was not a fan of, I always ignored this game. However, again, looking for something new to check out because all of my backlog games are basically open world RPGs, and I'm like, I need some variety. Like, I can't just do sports and RPG. Looked in the Game Pass library and found Slay the Spire. Dude, came out in like 2020. It's a roguelike deck building game. Oh, so much fun roguelike aspects, like I'm playing Hades, you know, that whole you got to go on this long run with multiple acts to get to the end. Still haven't completed it. But oh my gosh, it's so addicting. I can't believe I'm sucked into this game. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like you're trying to ascend the spire, multiple floors, and it procedurally generates each time. You got 1 of 4 characters you can choose. But like the cards.
Slow down.
Oh, dude.
You keep talking about cards.
Yes.
But there's like a game. So it's Demio. You're saying Demio.
It's
like you use cards to make things happen in a game space.
It reminds me.
You say cards, and I think you're just playing cards. I've never understood like the Magic the Gathering thing is just
no.
And dude, I am a fucking nerd and a half. I'm playing D&D later with Jeff. Like, I am a fucking nerd and a half. But when you tell me you have a deck of cards and you're just exchanging cards, you moron. What are you doing?
No, check it out. So you're basically
there's got to be a more interesting way to spend your time.
All right. So if you think of it like you have a giant spire, so a tower you're trying to climb, you know, and to get there, to climb the tower, you have to like battle creatures, avoid robbers. You might stop at a rest stop. You meet crazy like characters and goblins who might try to trick you or give you relics, and you know, maybe they'll help you out. Maybe they'll give you something that's going to curse you. You don't know. But basically, there's like multiple paths you can take, and you see it when you start out. Like you have like a starting point here, and it just spirals, and it's like you want to go this way, and you can change which way you go like as you go along at certain points. But each point is like a decision tree. Like you land here, clearly this is a battle. Like you're going into a battle. You go here, you might get a rest stop. But each time you go into a battle, you're looking at yourself on one side of the screen and then the enemy or enemies on the other side. And you can see their health bar, your health bar, all that. But then like you get like your card deck, and it's random what you start with each time. But each time you go through a run, you unlock more cards to use the next time. So it's kind of
sounds like a mashup of a choose your own adventure book and that Demio Battles.
Dude, it is kind of like shoot. That. It is, because you're like, do I play a block here? Do I play something that's going to like damage them? Do I use this addition? And you only have, just like Demio, like 3 or 4 magic points per turn kind of thing. You know, so it's like that, but you're not moving around the screen. You're just like using the cards, you know, turn by turn to battle before you can decide whether or not you get to move on. And it is so addicting. It's so addicting. Like there's no other way to explain that without being like super nerd about the type of things that you can unlock.
To be honest with you,
oh my gosh,
I liked Demio Battles, but because there was no progression to work through, it sounds like basically an upgraded version of Demio Battles in that it actually has somewhere to work towards, as opposed to meaningless stat accumulations.
Yeah,
you know, and cosmetic unlocks, which I could care less about.
I think that's accurate, because I like Demio way better than Demio Battles. Like I'd play some Demio today, but this, I would play this before Demio Battles as well too, just because you are progressing. The whole point is like, I want to complete a run. I want to make it all the way to the top and beat the final dude at the top, which I have not done yet. And I keep unlocking cool stuff, but not cool enough to get me there, not powerful enough. Or I'm making choices along the way. Like, all right, I'm not going to heal all the time. I'm just going to go for like the curses and see how much more powerful I can get, you know? So that decision tree is really the big fun of it for me. So I highly recommend Slay the Spire. And then, woo, Josh, let me tell you, like, my next game is a retro game that has been rumored to come to Xbox, and it is finally here. Shadow dropped a few days ago. Marvel Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. And by itself, it's
how did you stop playing Marvel Battles or whatever it's called to play?
Marvel Rivals? I've just took a break from that. Like that's a fun game, don't get me wrong. Like, but I'm not always in the mood for that type of game. And so this is a game that I had been looking forward to for so long because it comes with 8 fighting games, but specifically there were two that, like, to my core growing up childhood are just X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel versus Capcom 2. Finally on Xbox, totally worth the $30 without question. Throw it down immediately. Just as awesome as when we were kids with all the great quality of life upgrades and stuff that you would expect.
Fighting games never really my thing. Mortal Kombat and a little bit of Street Fighter, but I never really got past that. And the mashup concepts, like the IP mashup things, never did anything for me.
Okay, so
never got my biscuits burning.
I can't even believe that. Like that's heresy. Like as an X-Men comic fan, it is like I'm opening the comic. It's like that feeling that I had when I first heard about this as a kid. When it's like, wait a minute, my favorite X-Men characters that I read about every 2 weeks on a Tuesday when they come out are now fighting Street Fighter and Mega Man and all these, like, and it's so good. It's just as good as I remembered. Like, you know how a lot of times we play these retro games and it's like, it was great as a kid, doesn't hold up. This absolutely holds up. It's still awesome. It's so good, man. In addition to that, dude, they have a game in there. Like a lot of the games, because this is the fighting collection, in a lot of ways, all the games that are included built up to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because they have like smaller games like Marvel Superheroes, which is like 8 Marvel characters a battler, or X-Men Children of the Atom, which is like a 6-player X-Men, like smaller fighting games. But like, so I probably won't play those because all the characters plus more are in Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is like, the best one of the franchise. But they also have this game, The Punisher, which I don't like. I remember Punisher games on the NES, which were kind of like, meh, like we've seen and all that. But I don't think I've ever heard of this game. But it's like a side-scrolling beat 'em up in the same vein as Streets of Rage. Dude, I ran through 2 levels. I was just sucked in playing it this morning. I just wanted to check it out, and now I'm like, I need to grab Zeke to play with me. He can be Nick Fury. We can go in this battle. It's just like always what I wanted.
Yeah, dude, one of my favorite games that we haven't gotten into yet, one of my favorite games, beat 'em up wise, is Maximum Carnage on Genesis, which is the SNES port too. Maybe you played it as an SNES kid, but yeah, that's a fucking incredible beat 'em up game that I cannot. Actually, it's in my. The reason I don't have the cart yet is because it's expensive as fuck. That red one, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy one that's not the red one, and it's expensive as fuck. So I haven't gotten it. But yeah, that's a game I both want to buy and cannot wait to play for the game because I never beat it. It's hard as fuck, and I never beat it. So that's something I want to get back into. But yeah, anyways, those games, if done well, are those characters rather. Even Spider-Man, I don't really give a fuck about Spider-Man. I mean, Venom and Maximum Carnage was a cool storyline, and I actually did collect those comics. Those are probably the only Spider-Man. That, and then there was a Spider-Man Wolverine Wendigo storyline that bounced between Spider-Man issues and some X-Men issue or Wolverine issues or something that I collected and did some Spider-Man dabbling as a kid. And then there were some hologram ones too. And I can't remember what those were about, but they were hologram Spider-Man covers that for some reason, I just liked holograms that I bought. I don't even remember what the storylines were. But yeah, point being, I've never been a Spider-Man storyline fucking person. And still a great fucking game.
Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Like I like the idea of Punisher, but like I didn't read his comics like that. But this is just kind of what I wanted as a kid. Like, give me a side-scrolling, really well done, cool looking big sprite beat 'em up with comic book characters. I'm in. So awesome collection. I'm going to be playing this so much whenever I'm in for the mood for a fighting game. Jumping into that, dude. I'm so excited. So what about you? That's it. Between those 3 games, that has sucked up all of my time.
No time. Yeah. I have been... So Skydance's Behemoth has been the big story game that I have been playing on Quest. And I beat it. I got all the way to the end. And had a great experience. Fucking very enjoyable. You know, the battle mechanics shit with like... It just was good. It was just a good game. And like I said, I had some apprehensions early on that felt, I don't know, it's like it's certainly not the most polished, like AAA type. It's definitely not Asgard's Wrath or even close to probably, but it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a game I would have recommended playing at any point throughout. So I get it. I get all the way to the end boss, like this king character that's kind of been like dancing in and out of your storyline the whole time. And you thought I don't know, that's a little spoily, I guess, but you gotta be a moron not to see it coming. So like he's been like your ally at the start, and then you find out he's like trying to use you for something, and you get to the end, and I beat those 3 behemoths. I don't think I'd played the third like behemoth boss yet prior to the last time we recorded. So I beat that, and that was he was like a land-based thing, and you had to like it was that was amazing. Like you had to like fucking work your way up his whole body. It's like just so huge, dude, and like again, so well done. Like the scale of those boss battles, so good. So that was fantastic. There's 3 of those, and then you have like an end run thing, and you're getting to this final boss, and he's just a fucking like a normal kind of fucking. He doesn't. I thought for sure there would be like some sort of something that turned like a phase where he like became some big thing, and you had to do an epic thing like that as the final boss. They didn't. Here's the thing. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but I don't think so. So right before I get to that battle, there's these, like the way the upgrade tree for this game is, there's these forges, and you are constantly gathering this certain type of metal that you smelt, and then you like put either your sword, all your special weapons. You have a sword, you get an axe, you get a bow, and any one of those 3, all 3 of those things have like an upgrade tree to them. And you set them on this fucking, I don't know, this thing that you then close the fucking whatever down onto, and then you put the metal into it, and it smelts the metal, and it bonds to the fucking thing. It opens back up, and then it's pretty cool, just a dumb little thing, but you gotta take the hammer, and you gotta hammer the fucking, the shit, like a blacksmith, hammer the thing. And you got the further down the tree is, the more hammering you have to do, and it's dumb, but it actually is fun, interesting, cool, busy work. I think that's kind of interesting. It makes you feel like you're doing the work of making the upgrade, as opposed to just, you put it in, now it's better, So it is kind of a cool mechanic. I kind of like that. But I go in to this, and it's like, I'm pretty, I think you can even see the king from the room. So it's like the one right before. So it's like, okay, I'm doing my final upgrade here. So I put my sword into the fucking thing, and I can't remember what I did. I did something goofy that was a little weird. I think maybe I tried to put a second weapon in. Like I put the sword in, and I was like, no, I don't want to do an upgrade to that. And I just put another weapon in without taking the sword back out. And it like glitched. The sword disappeared. And I was like, I didn't even like, because anytime you can throw your weapons and shit. So anytime you like lose your weapon, it just eventually goes back to the sheath, So I didn't even think about it.
Right, yeah.
Right, yeah, I assumed it was in my sheath. I do the upgrade of the bow or whatever the fuck else I did, and axe maybe, and then I go in to do the battle, and I don't have the sword. I no longer have like the badass hero sword. I still got some swords, because you like, not only do you have your main weapons, you like, as you kill. You could also use just like dumbass enemies' weapons, but you kill these mini bosses, and you can pick up their cool weapons too. And there's like a whole weapon room that you can go in and like figure out secondary weapons, and they're all kind of different and shit. So I had a couple secondary swords. So I go in and I do the battle. I fucking, it took me a few times. It was actually a pretty cool battle, even though it wasn't a big huge thing. It was just a normal sword fight. Mm-hmm. I go in, I kill him, or I finish him off, and he like goes down to his knees. And he's like kind of like leaning back with his chest out like this, and it's like, I think the woman who's like, she's your mom becomes like your like guiding whatever, your fucking Navi from Legend of Zelda, Pixie telling you to do shit. She's like, finish him off, plunge your sword into his chest. So I'm like, I stick the sword I'd killed him with into the chest. And it just goes into his chest, and he's just fucking wiggling, and he's like, he's not dying. I'm like, what the fuck? And then she says it again, like, you got to stick your sword into him and kill him. And I'm like, I mean, I did that. I'm like, I take the other sword I had out, that's not the main sword, stick that in him too. And then he's got 2 swords sticking out of him, but he doesn't die. And it just sits there and keeps going forever. Or minutes, multiple minutes, not forever. I eventually got tired of it. I was like, fuck this, whatever. I'm not going to sit here forever, even though it won't go to the end of the game now. Or here's the thing. I said maybe after that, there's a second phase, but I never got to it, where he becomes this big epic thing that maybe is a cool boss battle. So maybe I'm wrong in that, but it seemed like it was just killing him. I don't know. Or would have killed him. But yeah, I don't have my sword. I don't have my main sword, and that's what you gotta plunge into him, apparently, to end the game.
Oh, man.
So, I'm like, what the fuck, right? So I'm like, well, I mean, that's fucking dumb.
You got a save
whatever.
state? Can you go back?
Well, right, so I fucking, exactly, I turn it off, I load, I assume maybe it's just a glitch that fixes itself when I load back up. I load back up, nope, sword's still gone. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like looking in the room that I was in, I can't find it.
It's not still in the forge?
No, because I put another weapon in there and upgraded it, so it just is gone, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's sitting behind it and I can't get back there. I don't know. But like, fuck, I don't have the sword, so I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm reading online, and like, there was no quest stuff that was exactly that glitch, but there was things about losing your weapon and like it just being gone, and you have to load. So I'm like, what the fuck? So like, thankfully, I'd had that Asgard's Wrath problem where I learned after fucking myself and not being able to go back because I'd waited too long, that there is that cloud-based thing where you can roll your saves back and shit. So I'm like, oh, you fucking pricks. So I'm gonna waste time out of my life to do some shit again whenever my last save state was. There's a save state in the cloud from like a week ago or something, so it wouldn't even have been right at the end, or at least in my mind. But I roll it back to that, and I don't know. I can't even remember where it was now. I think it might have been where I don't know, whatever it was. I rolled it back and I still didn't have the sword. And I was like, oh my God, what? You gotta be fucking kidding me. So like, I beat the game, and to be honest with you, I don't really care what happens at the end of that game, unless there is a boss battle I missed. I hadn't even thought of that as a possibility until we were talking now. Mm-hmm. If I missed that and that is fucking cool, I gotta Google a video now, because I might start sending some angry emails if that's the case. If I missed out on content, like actual gameplay because of this, I might be irate. I don't really care enough about the story. It wasn't that fucking great where I was like, oh, I gotta know. I know what happens. Or I know what happened already. It's not even, you're just playing out an already told story really at that point in the game. So, it was annoying, but yeah, I hadn't thought of that possibility that I actually missed a boss battle. So whatever. Eventually, I just gave up and was like, fuck it, and deleted this game and moved on to the next thing, which I'd actually bought, when the same time I bought this, Metro was for sale, which was the game I just texted you guys about, which is apparently a novel that was actually a really, like, I don't know if it was a bestseller or not, but it was enough of a successful book, or series of books even, maybe, that they made a video game out of it. It's like a licensed property. Metro 2033, the game's called, or the book is called. And this is, apparently there's been a few games too, I think, flat screen games. And this is a from the ground up VR build of, I don't even know if it's a new game or one of the other games, whatever, but it is built for VR, so you can feel that in it for sure. It's very Fallout. It's like dystopian, as the name would suggest. Very similar. There was a nuclear deal. This is set in Russia, though, so this is like from an all Russian perspective. And, everyone kind of they still speak English, but it's like with a shitty Russian accent, or not shitty, Russian accents. And so that's kind of interesting. And just that, instead of this fucking American perspective, it's a US or a Russian perspective. So that's kind of an interesting story thing. But it's all set. The reason it's called Metro is it's set in like where people have where they went in the cities and kind of built an underground shelter, is not these bunker things like Fallout, but they went into the metro, the subway tunnels, and built a fucking living infrastructure down there. So that's where it all takes place. And there's all these mutant things that are out. They built like fucking, they're constantly attacking, and it's like an ongoing thing to be dealing with these mutants and shit. And for reasons the game gets you into, you have to kind of adventure out from your character who's just a doctor he's like a savvy dude, but he's not like a warrior or anything, so it's a little bit of a fish out of water, kind of got to become exceptional, semi-normal guy kind of idea, and you got to go out, at least here in the beginning, I'm in chapter 2 of however many chapters at this point, and you got to go out, and like, it's one of those games, it's Resident Evil-y in that you don't have enough resources. I think I was saying this in the chat too. It's like, you don't have enough. It's not that you don't have enough. It's just that you're always on the edge of not having enough.
I hate that.
Always, you always have the feel that you need to not do the easiest thing. You need to conserve for the next situation that's going to be worse for sure, Mm-hmm. So, and that's very Resident Evil-y, and I respect that, but Resident Evil on a flat screen is one thing, but like Biohazard on PSVR had this. It's like, in VR, man, you got to do it. It's a really hard, like some of those, Oblivion Wraiths game I played that I just could not finish because you don't even have offense in that game. That was one of those games that's just like total horror where you're like just constantly running. You have no safe, you're never safe, and it's like, I cannot play a game like that. It is like, Subnautica, I need to be able to get into the base and fucking cool off, man. I cannot be constantly under fire and have no repercussion to like fend this shit off. It's just, I can't imagine, I just can't believe there's anyone who enjoys that feeling at all times while they're playing a video game. And it's not that bad. You obviously have guns and you can, there are moments, it does shift kind of between like these battle moments where you're under duress and like kind of puzzly stuff where the music fades and you're safe and you can kind of cool off a little bit, which maybe sounds tip of handy, but again, like I said, I welcome it. So it's not like it's constantly that way, but it is a very fucking senses saturating experience, that I can't just keep playing. I keep taking breaks from it. Like, it's fun, it's good, it's very engaging, but and there's like total stealth moments too. Like I'm in this place now and two where like it's not even mutants, it's like human like a raider type. They're like some sort of human outfit that I gotta like sneak by.
Always gotta watch out for the humans in these situations, man.
Right, yeah, they're worse than the mutants. So it's like this fucking sneak around deal and that shit too, like, and it's like I love the idea of Metal Gear, but I've never even allowed myself to really try. I had one on PSP, and I remember I kind of liked it, but same thing. I'm kind of like, I don't even know what you want me to do here, and it's not like It's not that like I know what I need to do. I just don't know how to do it within your fucking UI. You know what I mean? And like that's annoying. That's not satisfying gameplay. And I don't want to look it up. But I don't want to just keep bumping my head against the wall to figure it out. So there's that paired with, again, the onslaught of just like constantly being under duress and I don't have enough bullets and yada, 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 that it's a little bit of friction. But one, if you like that stuff, it's fantastic. It's got, the mechanics with the guns and it's VR to fuck and you feel all that. You got to like, there's all these cool ass things like, I've never seen anything like it, actually. It's a super cool, game mechanic. So, it's this outdated Russian technology in all these old places that you're going through. So, like, shit's constantly out of power. So you have this, like, you have a backpack. You literally take off your back and, like, all your shit's there on the backpack. So you can look at it and you grab it. And it's one of the things that you start with is, like, this crank generator thing. So you take it and you have to, like, take the little metal contacts and like a jumper cable type things, put them onto the positive and the negative of these various mechanical things that you want to have some power, recharge them, and then you got to like crank the thing and you watch the meter go up and until it gets to the right power setting or power amount, you got to keep cranking and like you could like I said, there's moments where it slows down where you're doing this kind of thing where you don't necessarily have a threat, but there's times where you could do it to make your situation better, lights come on or so you can see better or whatever it is, while you're still under duress. So, like, it's a cool mechanic that they employ in a lot of different puzzle solving ways already even. That's very interesting. And, say like to heal yourself, you're not just, you have this like serum gun that you take out off your chest and like jam it into your hand and actually heal yourself with, and you can watch the little vial go down in the gun after you pull the trigger and like shit like that. And then the different guns, of course. I told you I smashed my fucking hand the other day because I ran out of bullets and I like didn't know what to do because I was out of bullets, and it was the first time that it happened. So I wasn't even sure if I could do damage, but I just like frantically, this fucking thing is attacking me, and I just frantically start slamming the butt of the gun in my head anyways. What I'm actually doing is just wagging my hand around in my living room at God knows what. Dumbass VR style, and smashed my fucking, it still hurts a little bit. It definitely wasn't broke, but I thought maybe it was. I was icing it afterwards on this fucking hard ass fucking dining room table, which I will never let be. I've hit that table so many times. I smashed playing bowling when I first got the thing. I remember I fucking have smashed my hand on that table so many times. The fact I don't push it away from my play space before I play is so lazy and moronic of me. So I will never do that again. I will always push that table before I play an intense VR game again. But yeah, anyways, the whole point being, very good, very intense, absolute terror at all fucking times. If you're into that sort of thing, awesome game. Looks fucking beautiful, sounds fucking great, controls fucking awesome, everything great, like very AAA feeling, there's no, like Behemoth had a little bit of like VR jank to it. Yeah. This is like clean as fuck, like super fucking clean. I can't think of the studio name off the top of my head, but it was like a studio I've recognized, something with a V, some sort of Vertigo or some shit like that. That's like I think a pretty accomplished game studio, so not surprising it feels AAA, I guess, but I think I even got it I think I got it on sale for $30. I think it's normally $40. I think I got it on sale for $30. So $30, great fucking deal for what it is. Again, if you can fucking endure the terror of it.
Yeah.
So that's the new big game. What were you gonna say?
Dude, no, the minute you said Metro and part of a series, I immediately in my mind saw Metro Redux. And like, yeah, I've seen that game on Xbox like all the time. Like I know it's like been a big thing with multiple versions, and yeah, it looks good. It looks good and terrible. I can only imagine, terrible meaning like terrifying, and I can only imagine being in VR and having to do it. That's a whole thing, man. Like I'd have to be.
It is, dude.
Whoa, I think I might have to.
It's high. It's fucking high octane, bro. It is so high octane. I mean, it's like it's probably the first game I've played like this, because Asgard's Wrath and Behemoth and shit. Like, yeah, it's intense, but it's not. It's not horror themed. They're not trying to always make you feel like you're fucking, they're not trying to instill fear. They're trying to instill difficult, I don't know, like fantasy, whatever. It's not fear. And the last game I played with this was probably Resident Evil 4, that remake. And that was awesome. But like I told you, like visually, not even, I mean, it was, not built from the ground up for VR. Like I told you, I remember talking about the plants being like the two flat sprites, like on an act, like it's not the same thing. This is like, yeah, built from the ground up to be a VR game, and they nailed it, absolutely nailed it.
Okay, all right.
Very fucking good, but again, just gotta take breaks because it's a lot, a whole lot.
I played that game and ended up like sweating all, just like stressed out.
God. Givens. So you're cleaning, gotta take breaks and like clean your fucking headset off, the sweat and shit. It's fucking a lot. And like, I mean, like I said, I'm smashing my hands on things, and like I've been playing. It's not like that's the kind of thing you should be doing
if you're a VR rookie,
right?
Not you.
Maybe, whatever. First year, I've played way too much VR to still be doing that shit, dude. It's insane. I mean, part of it is my space. I don't have a big enough, I'm gonna rent a space. I'm gonna have to rent a fucking dedicated VR space so I can do this safely. It's a big enough part of my life. I can 100% rationalize the expense. It's just the inconvenience. Maybe get find a new unit in the condo building. Just buy a second unit as a VR. Gonna have to do a lot more CoStar bids to pull that off financially, but it's an aspiration. Nice. So yeah, that's the big thing. Still playing. We're not playing it as much because it's the same kind of thing. It's just fucking too intense. Like some nights you get home and it's like, can't do this cookout shit right now. It's too fucking hard, and I don't feel like yelling right now and sweating. So that is present with the experience, but cookout fantastic. Like I've actually gotten into that's like a co-op endeavor that Amy and I are doing. I've actually gotten into playing it a little bit one player because there's this creative mode. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but there's a creative mode where you build your own. You don't build your own sandwiches. There's like, it's like a list of objectives. Like I don't even know how many recipes. Fucking, I don't know, 80 or something. And they're like guessing games, kind of like they'll give you like some clues or what they like give you a name for it. So like the name means something, and then it'll tell you like either some of the ingredients, well, always some of the ingredients, but they'll tell you some ingredients and then maybe some clues about what the other ingredients should be or how they should be prepared. And then again, the name, like I said, is always a clue as to what you should be putting in it. But you're basically just guessing. It's a guessing game, kind of trying to build the sandwich that they're asking you to build. And it's like, it's totally freeform. Like it's not timed. You're literally just like taking ingredients and trying to, it's like little mini puzzles, and it's super gratifying or satisfying rather to play as a one player thing. So I've kind of been firing up at times to just do that and just like try to figure out what these sandwiches are, and like some of them are insane, dude. Like some of them are like fucking 30 ingredients, the really hard ones. So it's just a fun spin on that game UI, like instead of the timed like chaos of what Cookout normally is.
Yeah.
Right. It's just kind of a more relaxed, subdued experience in that fun space and UI, which is cool. So been doing that some. And then Townsman VR, which I've talked about a bunch. It's a real-time strategy. I keep just wandering my way back to it. And again, when I want to just see that I haven't picked up Humanity in a while, that Lemmings game, because I'm at a point in that's fucking super hard and I can't figure it out. So I've kind of gravitated towards this as my just sit and chill thing. And I'm actually on the last level now. So unfortunately that experience is going to be over, but I keep playing that. So that's the bulk of the stuff I've actually been doing. A cool random thing that I found, just stumbled into recently. I had the idea of, I started watching that video. The problem was I found that fucking Innie Austin guy I've been posting about on YouTube. And he has those videos that are the fucking unemployment surveys. He goes into the Skyrim towns and conducts, it's a whole like role play thing where he's like a Bureau of Labor Statistics representative, and he's going into these towns and polling all the residents to find out the unemployment rates. So he like takes, he's a funny. I can't believe that I'm watching every one of his videos. I'm thinking about supporting him on Patreon. Like I don't watch like random ass YouTube stuff really.
What?
I kind of watch LGR. The Lazy Game Reviews guy, he's an interesting kind of just YouTube video guy that I'll watch, his like PC games and shit, but I don't watch a lot of that stuff. I stumbled into this guy off a Blue Sky post, and he is fucking great, dude. He is so fucking funny. He's got such an incredible delivery, and just like delivery style, I guess I should say, and I don't know, I'm just really fucking vibing on him. So I watch all his videos. His best ones, though, and you can see when he started doing them, his account blew up. He's got like 700,000 subscribers now. He's like a fucking huge YouTube deal. And it happened when he came up with this idea. And yeah, he's like going into the Skyrim towns, and he's done them all at this point. And he's like, sometimes like the people are physically working, so he can just be like, okay, you're employed, sir, obviously, moving on. But sometimes it requires some interpretation based on what they say or what they're doing or who they're with or where they're at, and it's like, he's a very comedic way of determining these. And then, so he goes and polls every resident in town, and then he does like a press conference where he analyzes the data and explains what he thinks it means about the town's future and its economic status and shit. And it's just, again, it's right there adjacent to my dumbass economic analysis idea. So part of it maybe is just respect of the economic component of these video games. But he also has ones I've sent to you guys too. He like did this one of like, he took the Skyrim map and basically tried to figure out the source of the water, the rivers, basically. Like, basically going up each river, up as best he can interpret, which, as you might imagine, a video game is not perfect in that. And basically trying to find the origin water source in Skyrim that fuels the entire river system, So, like, basically just dissecting these games in a real world way, or the world of these games in a real world way that is really interesting and smart and funny. And yeah, I'm just fucking completely fixated on him. And I'm even watching his dumbass videos now where he does these 5-minute game reviews where he grades games on a 2-point scale, and it's either a 0, 1, or 2, and they're just like, he's super funny in the way he does that. I watched a 9-minute video the other day where he picked in Red Dead Redemption 2, he picked a random ass person and just followed them the whole fucking day just to see what the fuck they did, like their loop of behavior. Yeah. And you just shit like that where he just takes these really obscure ideas. He did one on one of the Fallout games, Fallout 3, where he tried to figure out where every warhead fell on the map by analyzing craters and shit like that. He's done the unemployment stuff in Fallout games too. Like, just really smart ass fucking game content. And I hate even using that word, but super interesting. But watching those got me on a Skyrim kick, and anytime people get my fucking Skyrim biscuits burning, I start thinking about maybe trying to play it. And so I was maybe thinking about trying to get a way to play Skyrim on my Quest in VR, which is super achievable, of course. But in doing that, I found this thing called Skyblivion. It's this fucking project where they've been working on it for a while. It's actually supposed to drop in 2025. I can't imagine it'll actually happen on their predicted timetable just because of the magnitude of what they're trying to do here. But what have I been talking about to you since we started this podcast, or we started working on this podcast together? I want to play Skyrim. When's the next Skyrim happening, Jay? When are they going to give me my next Skyrim? I've been asking for that. So this might be a solution to that, because I've never played any of the previous Elder Scrolls games. None of them. I never played Oblivion. I never played. Really? I don't even know. I don't even know what they're called.
Skyrim by itself?
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it prior to Skyrim. I didn't have. My PS3 was the first time I had gotten an Xbox or a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. I had a Wii.
That's right. We had GameCube when we were roommates.
Right, right, exactly. So I had never played any of those. I didn't even know they existed. None of those PlayStation, Xbox games. It's not into them. That's probably why I don't play Grand Theft Auto or any of those games, because it wasn't part of that fucking ride. So I never played any of these, and yes, this is called Skyblivion, and they're taking the entire Elder Scrolls Oblivion game, and they are from the ground up building that in the Skyrim engine. So yeah, incredible idea. Obviously, insanely huge project, and they got a website. You can support it. I mean, I'm probably going to end up doing that too now that I found this, because I obviously want it to happen. But it basically will give me a new Skyrim game from the ground up in the Skyrim engine. And that's what I want. I want a fucking story to play in that world, again, or from anew, And I think this, if they finish it, would be it. And that's fucking hot. So, yeah, actually, so I what actually sent me down that road was like, okay, I can play Skyrim, but I don't want to fucking play Skyrim again for the 80th time. So what other thing can I now play in VR that I love that's like that Bethesda shit? So I was looking at Fallout options, and it's shockingly, as much as a following or interest as Fallout has, no one's done that the way they've done it for Skyrim. There's been attempts. There are, of course, these things that exist. It's possible, but it's janky. It's not polished. You gotta fucking cobble together a bunch of mods and stuff, and I can't even
That's too much.
Wrap my head. I can't wrap my head around the mod shit. I know it's I'm sure I'm capable of it. I was able to make Subnautica happen with mods and shit in Steam. I know I could probably do it, but it's an exhausting idea to go down the road of. As bad as I want it, as much as I would love to play Fallout New Vegas in VR, I don't know. I don't think I have the fucking deodorant enough deodorant to fucking get through that process. So yeah, it's not as clean as doing it. And I guess Skyrim's a lot simpler to make that happen. So that's what actually sent me down the road, and that's how I found Skyblivion. So yeah, look that up. If you're an Elder Scrolls person, maybe we all need to support these motherfuckers and get it done, because that would be an incredible thing to have available. Did you play any of those games, the prior ones?
No. I still own Skyrim. I still actually own that regularly, and
Skyrim doesn't
I have
count.
It on
I'm saying the ones previous.
PS4 VR.
The previous ones though.
But no other ones. I've never. ESO was my introduction to Elder Scrolls.
Okay.
Outside of people like you and Jesse and other people raving about Skyrim. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've read that they're actually they're better story wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you could make the experience of playing them fantastic. I've watched videos of 3 and 4, Oblivion and whatever the other one is, and it looks rough. So as much as I love
ride as well, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, as much as I love and can even tolerate maybe like retro-y stuff, that when I think of retro is a sprite based flat thing, like when you try to like that early stage 3D shit is fucking
it's rough,
like,
dude.
it's like PS1 is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Like PS1 is the absolute trashest fucking game era in the history of gaming, you know? So yeah, the idea of going back to that tier of 3D environment to experience a story I'm sure I would love, I don't know if I have the fucking wherewithal for it.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head. I feel the exact same way. It's like, give me the flat screen sprites, give me that 8-bit, 16-bit, like that kind of stuff. And then I need you to jump forward. I need you to just jump forward so that everything's smooth when we're going into 3D and all that. Like that. Yeah.
Yep. I can because I was there, and I'm sure it may not be in a majority nostalgia feeling it, but like Diddy Kong Racing, like I think Diddy Kong Racing is fantastic. My mission in life is defending it on the internet that it's better than Mario Kart. You know, so like there are games from that era that I think are still fantastic, but and like I like the Banjo-Kazooies, and those are like the epitome of the earliest 3D whatever. Annie Austin does a lot of good videos on Banjo-Kazooie too, by the way. But fucking, you could tell he got into it. 64 and GameCube were his like formative years. You can see there's a lot of that in his shit. He does a lot of Zelda stuff too. But anyways, those games I enjoy, but if I think I had never played them at the time, it would probably be really hard to revisit them, you know. Even the Zeldas, I mean, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, like I've tried to play those out of nostalgia on emulation, and like,
dude,
can't really do it.
I was telling my son the exact same thing this morning. Like, there are just some of these games back from there, like they just don't hold up graphically. I go back and I look at them. It's the same way I think about Bond 007. Like 007 GoldenEye was the shit back in the day. Yeah. Loved it. It was awesome. But even like the re-release, just a re-release, not upgrade anything, that came out a couple years ago, I looked at it and I was just like, I played it and I was like, this was awesome back in the day, but this is that. Part
of it too for that, I have tried to play that. I don't think I tried that re-release. They probably fixed all this and it's probably fine on an Xbox controller, but trying to emulate GoldenEye, like, yeah, dude, I played the fuck out of GoldenEye. So I would love, and honestly, I still even enjoyed it because of just, oh my God, so much nostalgia for that game. We played so much multiplayer of that and da. But like, dude, without an N64 controller, like an actual N64 controller to play that game with, it's impossible, I think, to really enjoy it and be good at it. Like, I had worked out a way to play it on that handheld, the last handheld emulator I had, but like without a fucking trigger and a stick, and like the C buttons and shit, like without the exact thing, it's impossible to come up with a good mapping thing onto a normal dual analog. It's just impossible, in my opinion. So, yeah, I just was never able to play a lot of those games because there's just no way to map an N64 controller other than an N64 controller, for those games. You get like some of the Mario 64. I played. That's good, of course, still, right. And that is a simple enough game where, as far as controls go, anyways, where you can map it to a normal controller and work through it. But yeah, there are games like that, GoldenEye and some others that it just doesn't work without an N64 controller, So. Anyhow, that's it for games. The last thing I have, of course, is my update of my Uncanny X-Men quest. I read the 1982 Wolverine miniseries, the 4-issue deal, his first solo venture, while I was sitting around on set this week, actually, and it ended up having, remember, if you recall, maybe last episode, I said I was curious to know whether it would kind of like how it worked into the existing Uncanny X-Men storyline that he's obviously an every issue participant in, like how it would, correlate. And zero. They can't even be happening. It's impossible for them to be happening at the same time even. So I don't even know. Maybe theoretically it's happening in the past. It's not maybe it's a looking back at a point in his life. That maybe makes sense, I suppose. But it's definitely not happening while like what's happening now in I'm in the Brood, the Brood, what have you say that Brood storyline, their first one. And that's like a fucking, I feel like it's been like 6 or 7 issues, like a huge story arc. And he's in fucking space the whole time. There's no way he can be in Japan too. So there's just no way that they have anything to do with each other. So I don't know if they were meant to or not, or if you're supposed, maybe, well, clearly they're not meant to, but whatever. They have nothing to do with each other. I was kind of disappointed in that. I kind of wanted there to be some, you know, like, oh, he's popping out to do his own thing and like some overlap Venn diagram wise. Not the case. So I was bummed about that. So yes, I think I'm going into the last issue. I think it's 166, I want to say, in Uncanny. Oh, and yeah, I think it's the end of the Brood storyline. And if you don't know the Brood storyline, it's like every creative property of the time, and that it's directly ripped from the 1979 Alien film. As far as like the design of the aliens and like the fact that their whole thing is like or like using human beings as host vessels for their reproductive process and shit. So it's all in there, like with just unabashedly ripping from Alien. So whatever, they're not new and are unique in doing that. But of course, it's like fucking come on, man. Yeah. Like at least like to change something, like put some sort of creative difference in there that it's just not so glaringly apparent what you're doing. But again, they are not alone in that crime. So whatever, it's beating a dead horse to bitch about that probably as far as that goes. But yeah, they're all. And whatever, fuck you if it's spoiling anything. But they're like, they infected the whole team, unbeknownst to them, somehow or another. I can't remember how that would have been possible. But they were all infected one way or another. Or not infected, but implanted with an egg. It's like a queen egg, too, in particular. It's going to like, and the whole idea is it's going to, the reason the Brood wanted to do it was because these eggs are able to, or the organisms developing the eggs are able to pull from the host, like their powers or their genetic makeup in some way. So the idea in impregnating the whole X-Men team is that it would create this like super line of aliens, which is a cool idea. I guess that's a little different. But of the X-Men, like I said, they don't even know. Somehow Wolverine finds out because his healing factor killed the egg, and he knew that somehow. I can't remember how that happened or how he figured that out. But so basically, he's gonna live. He knows that, and he can't. This is kind of cool too, in that he knows what's happening. He doesn't know how to tell everyone while they're in this like really tenuous situation. They're trying to fucking escape from him and then deal with whatever the fuck else is going on. So like he's aware of everyone else is kind of fucked, and he doesn't know how to tell them. You know, and then him and Scott are at odds about trying to or him and Cyclops are at odds about killing the fucking Brood queen that they have an opportunity to, because Scott's a fucking cunt and he doesn't want to kill anything. And Wolverine's like, fuck them, like, they're horrible, fuck you, let's kill them. And like, what he's really trying to do is exact revenge on the Brood for the rest of the team, because he knows that they're fucked. And he's like, at least you can get back at them. Let's kill them. Even though I don't know how to tell you why you should feel that way. It's a mildly complex emotional thing that these comics don't always have in them to this point. So that is kind of cool. And I like that. But yeah, Storm just went off to commit suicide. And like, clearly that's not going to stick. I know that's not going to stick, but I don't know how it's not going to stick. She knows once he tells everyone that they're infected, and Storm, the reason that he ends up telling them ultimately is because Storm has it's starting to gestate or something, and she realizes that, and he has to like explain it to them because he has no choice. Wolverine, I mean. So she like knows this, and she just like freaks out because she's even more high and mighty about this than Cyclops as far as killing things. Because she's a nature goddess or whatever. So she just like goes up, steals a fucking, I don't know, like a spaceship, a fucking emergency life raft spaceship, and shoots out into space to kill herself because she doesn't want this thing she doesn't want to kill it, and she doesn't want to have it kill them, you know? So she goes off and literally just like, couldn't even explain what they were showing me. They were like, she like does this like nature supernova thing and just like murks herself. And the last you see of her in this last issue, she's just like fucking dead. And we cut back to the other team. And it's like, okay, bye, Storm. Fucking cuts back to the team for the ending of the last issue. So, yeah, super heavy shit, man. Pretty fucking wild.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so interesting, good storyline, I suppose. So that's another one that's pretty good, relatively speaking. That is exciting, I suppose. But there's a lot of weird shit, dude. I mean, the craziest thing going on right now is, it's been going on for a while. This Kitty Pryde fucking Colossus shit it's fucked up, dude. Kitty Pryde's 14. And like, dude, yes, Colossus is young. He's like 19 or something, but he's a fucking adult. And there is a romantic thing happening with Kitty Pryde and him. And it'd be one thing if it was just happening. And like, we're turning a blind, it's a different time. I guess. I mean, it's the early 80s. I don't think fucking statutory rape was cool then either. It might have been at the time still maybe a joke or something. I remember some jokes on the frat house wall at Delta Chi about 16 and consensual shit in the state of Ohio being okay. And like, that's a joke, as wrong as it is. But whatever. Just, different fucking times, different perspectives on things, maybe. But they're acknowledging it. It's like, this last issue, they're talking about the fact that she's a kid and he is not. And then they make out immediately after. And they like make it okay. They try to make it okay because they know they're about to die, supposedly, because of the fucking thing. So fuck it about, she literally says like, who cares about society's rules or something? We're going to die, or I don't want to die. We're going to die anyways. And they make out. It's just like, what the fuck is happening here? That's the fucking wildest thing going on that I just cannot believe. I mean, it's been like, they've already made out a few times. So you already fucking, whatever. It's in motion. This train's in motion already. It's not like this is new information or them making out is new. So like, that's happened a couple times already. But this, like I said, it took it up a notch for them to talk about it and then make out anyways. Super heavy, I think. So fucking wild. Really wild. Whatever. Really fucking wild thing going on. So that's, one crazy thing. The Cyclops dad showing back up shit is going on. Corsair has came back. So there's so that's probably the most interesting thing I've ever seen Cyclops fucking boring ass do is have to deal with this dad shit that he didn't know who his dad was. And then now the dad's coming back into the picture, and Storm knew that he was his dad because they bumped into the Starjammers previously many issues back. And she promised not to tell Cyclops that he was his dad. And then Cyclops finds out that Storm knew, so that's also kind of a complex thing, So, like, that was kind of interesting, and that's kind of interesting. So there's been some cool shit going on. But yeah, that fucking Colossus Kitty Pryde shit is nuts.
I always thought about that, and I was like, so this, like, yeah, to your point, different time and all, but it's still just like watching it, it's like, or reading it, it's kind of like, all right, so am I supposed to just think of this as like, this is like my friend's little sister, my best friend's little sister, just like, all right, like you just had to. Yeah, that's the thing.
Like they keep. That's the fucking weird thing about it too. Is again, he knows he knows in particular that it's bad because they keep oscillating between them making out and him being this kind of like big brother figure for her when she's upset or trying to protect her. And like, sure, that's a romantic role as well for if you're a significant other or someone you want to be your significant other is to be protective of her also, sure, in traditional masculine roles. But it's not portrayed as relationship-y when those are happening. It's very much like Nightcrawler is also protective of her, and then like her and Colossus are talking about Wolverine too. They're all protective of her, of course. Right. So like, they're like, the three of them are like talking about like this big brotherly role that they're all kind of playing, and then Colossus walks over and makes out with her 5 minutes later, So like it's just fucking weird, man. It's a fucking really weird vibe that if you'd asked me coming into this to predict that was going to be a thing in this fucking comic series, that would have been the last fucking thing I predicted would be fucking Colossus teetering on statutory rape for fucking 20 issues.
Wild times, man. Wild times.
Yeah, super wild times.
Wild times in 79.
Yeah, this is 82. So
oh,
it's not quite 79. Yeah, 79 was when Alien came out. That's why that's exactly what they're ripping off. It's 3 years later. They've been talking about doing this for 3 years, ripping off Alien since they saw the movie. So, yeah, fucking wild.